Love lives here.
All right. So this year here at Centers for Spiritual Living Worldwide, we are working with the theme of living everyday wonder, and we are taking each month to look at various aspects of our lives, because where do we meet the divine? We meet the divine in our daily lives, in our everyday moments. And so this month, we are now focused on the body, the physical body. And so we are looking at and exploring living everyday wonder through this thing called our body. Okie doke? All right, good. Last month, we talked about emotions and we talked about feelings. And what we know is that spirit responds to feeling. Spirit responds to emotion. Yes, spirit responds to word. But really, if I just sit here and say, I have $1 million, I have $1 million, I have $1 million, I have $1 million, no matter how much I continue to say, I have $1 million, I have $1 million, I have $1 million, doesn't necessarily make that true. However, if I bring feeling, what Ernest Holmes calls the fire, to the statement, to the affirmation, the universe is responding to the energetic feeling that is behind the word. So I could just say love, 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 or I could say blah, 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 blah. Right? The word doesn't necessarily matter as much as the feeling behind the word, because that is what the universe, that is the energetic response. And yes, words have their own vibrations, like Om, right? Om is a very centering vibration, and we feel that vibration in our bodies, and it is a holy vibration. And the words have holy vibrations. And it is the feeling behind, the intent behind, it is that feeling that resonates, that vibrates, that energetic vibration that we feel throughout our body system, throughout our body temple, that the universe is responding to. That is the creative juice behind the word, if you will, is that vibration, is that feeling behind it. So we spent all of last month talking about our feelings and talking about locating our feelings in our body, and that was intentional. Locating our feelings in our body, feeling our feelings all the way through to completion, and then learning and gleaning the wisdom of those emotions as we experience them through our physicality, not just our mentality. And so this month we are focused even more so on the physical body. You see, here at Centers for Spiritual Living, if spirit is all that there is, if in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and in the beginning, that which God did not create was never ever created. That means that all of life, all of creation, everything we see, everything we experience, everything we touch is a divine emanation, impartation, and manifestation, a divine creation of the one life, of the one spirit. Because if spirit is all there is, or change the word to energy is all there is, we know energy doesn't die, energy just transforms. If energy or spirit or love is all that there is, then everything that we see, all of life, all of creation, both seen and unseen, the manifest body is the manifest body of the divine. So the chair that you sit on, and yes, my friend who always asks, he always goes to this, yes, the dog poop is God too. Because for whatever reason, when we talk about this topic, but what about dog poop? I'm just like, yes, it's just part of the natural function of life, right?
It's good to let things go.
Right. It's good. Dinah says it's good to let things go, for those of you who don't. Mosquitoes and cockroaches, we've talked about that too. Questionable, but technically God. Right? Technically God, because body, when we think of spirit, mind, and body as our symbol there shows behind, spirit, mind, body, body is the manifestation, the outpicturing of spirit through the medium, the creative medium of mind. through the creative medium of soul, through the creative medium of spiritual law. So spirit placed into the creative law then produces form, what we also know to be body. And so if spirit is all that there is, and God is all there is, and love is all there is, then my beloveds, your body is the body temple of the divine. So welcome to the temple. Welcome to your personal temple of the divine. Your body and you were not created from or created in original sin. You're created in and from original love, that unconditional love. So here at Centers for Spiritual Living, we don't have a philosophy, we don't have a faith that denies the body, that says the body is an illusion, nor do we have a faith or a philosophy that says that the body is something that is unclean, that is unsightly, that is unhealthy, that is unholy, that is unworthy of love. The body itself is that expression of life, of love in this form. And so therefore we know that all bodies are whole and holy. All bodies are whole and holy. Trans bodies are whole and holy. Gender non-specific bodies are whole and holy. Black bodies are whole and holy. Brown bodies are whole and holy. White bodies are whole and holy. All bodies are whole and holy. Size, shape, ability, whole and holy, because each one is a temple of, an individualized temple of the divine life. Jesus said that the kingdom of heaven is within. So if the kingdom of heaven is within, that is within each one of us. That's within our heart space. That's within internal. That is within. So therefore, what is this flesh suit? It is a temple of the divine working in absolute perfection in this moment as the divine expression of spirit, as the divine expression of life, as the divine expression of love. That is what the body is. The body is your temple, my beloveds. It's the body temple. And yeah, there may be some aches and pains and cricks and creaks, and things don't want to move as easy as they used to. And it's all whole and holy and perfect in this moment, in this experience, because what we know here in Centers for Spiritual Living is that we know lots of stuff. What we know here is that it is all in divine right order and divine right action. That there is a natural order, there is a natural harmony, there is a natural flow to our bodies, there is a natural flow to our lives, there is a natural expression to our lives. And that when we center into that, and center into that awareness, and center into that realization, then that is where we experience that wholeness, that is where we experience that perfection. We did it last week, we've done it several times, that we don't live in the past, we don't live in the future, we live in the holy present now. Holy, W-H-O-L-L-Y and H-O-L-Y. The holy present now. This is where we live. But when we forget that we live here, then it's easy to buy into the idea that we are somehow less than or somehow other than perfect and whole and complete. So what we teach here is that when we bring ourselves into alignment, that there is nothing to heal, only the truth to be revealed. You've heard Ernest Holmes say this again and again and again. You've studied it in classes. You've heard it from this platform. You've heard it from a dozen platforms. That there is nothing to heal, only the truth to be revealed. And Ernest Holmes also teaches that we believe in the healing of the sick and the control of the conditions through the power of the mind. The power of the mind is the consciousness. is the holy consciousness, is the power of spirit. As we bring our minds into alignment with our individualized minds, which is an expression of an individualization of the one life, the one mind, as we bring our minds into alignment with the one mind, then truth then is revealed, the truth of our wholeness, the truth of our being, as Amber so beautifully evoked. The truth then is revealed. And naturally, when we are in alignment with spirit, when we are in alignment with the highest idea of who we are, when we are in alignment with the truth of our being, then our physicality also then comes into alignment with that high idea. And then people ask, well, then why aren't I cured? Well, a healing and a cure are not always the same thing. A healing can occur and a cure still not happen. I think of my beloved Moses. Doris, you met Doris a couple of weeks ago. She was here. Moses had this very rare degenerative disease that came on suddenly, and within 6 months of it coming on to his physical body, he made his transition at 33 years old. But during that time, his final 6 months, he experienced healing after healing after healing with his family, with his past, with his friends, with loved ones. And not only did he experience those healings, but he also continued to then radiate an even greater light, an even greater expanse, an even greater teaching for those around him. And yet he still made his transition. So, beloveds, don't get it confused. A healing is not necessarily a cure, but a healing can absolutely lead to a cure or not. But a healing is a revealing of the divine truth within each and every one of us. That is where the true healing occurs. And then things follow as a result of that healing. Because the body, my beloveds, is what is called an effect. It's called a condition. It's not first cause. First cause is spirit. First cause is consciousness. Consciousness is the cause. And the body, the manifestation, is, well, it's a manifestation of that cause. It's an effect of the cause. So when we talk about cause and effect, cause is on the spiritual realm. Cause is in the mental realm. Cause is in the mystical realm. Cause is in this realm. And then effect is what you and I experience. Effect is the form. This is an effect. This is a body. This podium is not causing anything to happen. This podium is doing what this podium does. Sit there. But it is an expression of an idea. It is a manifestation of an idea that it's clear, that's made of plastic, that it is has this particular function. And so our bodies are this way too. Our bodies, when you think about how beautiful and how fantastic they are, and the wonder of our bodies, millions and millions and millions of cells, thousands of miles of capillaries and blood vessels, incredible chemicals in your brain that then manifest and change and move into different aspects of your body, continuing to maintain and sustain it, and all of it in perfect harmony, all of it in homeostasis, in what we also refer to as equanimity. All of it. The fact that our temperatures are 98.6 and they don't realistically go above or below is absolute perfection and something to wonder at and something to marvel at. And the functions of our bodies, the way we breathe, the way the heart, the electricity of the heart pumps blood throughout, and our digestive system and our nervous system. So there is a relationship that we have with this beautiful physicality that we have. It's not something to be like, I hate my money, which we'll talk about next week. Body image and loving ourselves and loving our physicality, loving this body temple. But it is a thing of awe, it is a thing of beauty. When you think of the temple, when you think of a temple, how do you decorate it? How do you present it? How do you paint it? How do you worship within it? What nourishment do you offer? What sustenance do you supply? And yet we realize that at the same time we are in a relationship with our body, and our body is in a relationship with us, but then our body is being maintained and sustained by life itself, by love itself. That we don't actually breathe, that we are being breathed by life. We are being breathed by love. We are being breathed by spirit. The breath in us is the breath of the divine. Feel into that. Feel that. Feel how in this moment there is nothing that could make the moment any better. That everything is provided for right here, right now, in this moment. That your body in the state of relaxation, your body in the state of receptivity is in a parasympathetic state. And in this parasympathetic state, parasympathetic nervous system, your body is repairing and restoring and resting. It's the opposite of the fight or flight. In some circles we call it the rest and digest. Feel how natural this feels in just this moment of quietude, in this moment of peace. And so this is practicing. And this is practicing meditation, this is practicing health, this is practicing spiritual practices. We have licensed spiritual practitioners that practice meditation, that practice spiritual mind treatment, that practice prayer, that practice seeing and knowing the truth for themselves and seeing and knowing the truth for others. Licensed spiritual practitioners have gone on to further study and become licensed in assisting others in realizing and seeing and experiencing and revealing their own truths. Because what we know too, what we teach here, what we believe here is that each one is a revealer of truth. Each person is a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the one life, with the divine. And so a spiritual practitioner practices on a regular basis, on a daily basis, multiple times a day, practices seeing and living and experiencing truth with a capital T. And then has committed themselves to being in service to helping, assisting, guiding, walking beside others in doing the same. Just like a medical doctor practices medicine and a lawyer practices law, a nurse practitioner practices medicine, a meditation practitioner practices, a spiritual practitioner, licensed spiritual practitioner practices regularly. And all of us here are practitioners. Some just have a license. But each one of us gathered here this day is a practitioner. We practice just the way the band practices their music. We practice and we practice and we practice. If we weren't practicing, we wouldn't be here. And guess what? Even if we don't realize we're practicing, we're practicing. Because the one mind, our minds are individualized expressions of the one mind. And we can use our mind to effect change. We can use our mind, our thoughts, our ideas to effect change on the planet, to effect change in our bodies. Centers for Spiritual Living and the Science of Mind, religious science, has its roots in the Mind Cure movement. The Mind Cure movement started in the mid-1800s, specifically Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, talked about and began seeing the idea of how our mind affects our physicality and using our minds to treat our physical bodies. And so the whole root of New Thought, the New Thought denomination, the New Thought philosophies, has a root in what is called or referred to as the Mind Cure movement. You may have heard of other names other than Quimby. You may have heard of Emma Curtis Hopkins or Mary Baker Eddy of Christian Science, or Walter Phil Evans, Horatio Dresser. These are all folks that were talking about and advancing the idea of physical healing with the power of the mind. And while we have allopathic medicine today, we have a much more advanced system of westernized medicine today, the idea of this spiritual mind healing or spiritual mind treatment, this idea of using the power of your mind, the power of your thoughts, is still very much present to this day. And now it's being called sometimes the placebo effect. And what is the placebo? It's a belief that this treatment that I'm taking, that I am ingesting, is effective in treating whatever is the ailment may be that I'm taking this for. Now, it may be that it's an aspirin, it may be that it's, a sugar pill. But there is part of the efficacy, and what is now the standard when they do drug testing, is the efficacy of the drug has to be greater than the efficacy of the placebo. In other words, just the efficacy of the mind, of a person's belief that the shot, the pill, the therapy will work. That's now the standard that is applied, is that the efficacy has to be greater than the power of the mind in science, from a scientific perspective. But what do we know, beloved? The power of the mind, it's the power of the divine, it's the power of consciousness. Nothing outgives that. But it's when we but we have to come into alignment with it. It's done to us as we believe, right? And we do not deny science. We do not deny the physical. We do not deny the bodies. Therefore, we know and we understand that if all is God, if all is spirit, then spirit is in the medicine, spirit is in the doctors, spirit is in the medical technology, spirit is in the shot. And so much more. So it's not an either or, as Christian Science would have it. For us here at Centers for Spiritual Living, it's a both and. We recognize that it all is working to the highest and greatest good, that it is all developed through and as an expression of the one life, the one mind, the one infinite intelligence, the one consciousness, and so that it is coming forth for the evolution of our individual and collective souls. It's coming forth for the betterment of our individualized lives. And we have free will. We have self-agency. And as individualized expressions of the one life, we may use that free will to choose, to discern, to listen for what is best for our own personalized expression of the divine. How we choose to love our temple, how we choose to express our temple, how we choose to live within our temple, our body temple. So I want you to close your eyes for a moment and breathe in. And just allow your consciousness, allow your awareness to alight on one area of your body. I'm not going to tell you which. Just allow it to alight on one area of your body with curiosity. You don't need to change it. You don't need to manipulate it. You don't need to try and do anything to it. And just notice what you notice. Is there a feeling, a sensation? What is it? Our bodies are intelligent. There's a wisdom within them. And this wisdom and this intelligence is consciousness. Our bodies speak. Our bodies move. Our bodies love and express. So just sense into this area of your body now. And just be present with it. Notice any shifts or changes. And then just simply give thanks for it. Thank you, big toe. Thank you, L5 vertebrae. Thank you, sternocleidoid muscle. Thank you. So this week, beloveds, I invite you to explore your body. Be present with your body. Just sit in your meditations, in your daily meditations, and just be present with your body. Be present with whatever is going on, with whatever is experiencing in your body. You don't need to change it. You don't need to move it. And just be grateful for it. Because I have 17 plus years as a massage and craniosacral therapist, not a masseuse, be clear, but as a massage and craniosacral therapist. And what I've noticed in my experience over the 17 years in this profession, in this career, in this calling that got me into this larger calling, I'll talk more about that later on in the month. But what I've noticed is that we walk around, we tend to be disembodied. We tend to live up here and not be fully into our body. So this week, your invitation is to move from here into this intellectual space that's right up here, move from here and allow yourself to drop into your body and feel your body. And whatever expression it's wanting to express, however it's showing up, whatever it's wanting to do, however it's wanting to move. But begin to drop down and feel and experience. Because part of being on this plane as spiritual beings, having a spiritual experience in a human form, part of it is to be fully present in our body, fully present in our lives. So this week, welcome. Welcome to the temple. Come in, sit down, check it out. Be present with what is. And so it is. So I invite our licensed practitioners. Thanks. I invite our licensed practitioners. Like, okay. Invite our licensed practitioners and ministers and our core council members to please stand and surround the sanctuary. And as they do, I invite us to turn within. And I remind you that prayer is available after service in the prayer room, and our beloved practitioners will be more than delighted to pray with you there. All right, so turning within, I recognize that there is one power, one presence, one life, one infinite eternal that is expressing itself through itself as itself, bringing forth life itself. That the entire universe is the manifest body of the divine, but the divine is not absorbed by its creation, but it is its creation and so much more. Therefore, I recognize that all of creation is divine. All of creation is made in the image and likeness of the one life, because it is the one life. And each one gathered is an individualized expression of this one life, just as a rose is a rose is a rose, and people are people. We are all individualized expressions. No two roses are alike, no two people are alike, no two expressions of life are alike. Each one is unique and individualized, yet all remains within the one. All remains as part of the whole. All remains in a holistic totality of integrity, of oneness. And so I recognize that the who of who I am is the divine made manifest. This is a divine emanation and impartation of this one life. And that is true of everyone. That is true of all of creation, of all of life, of each one gathered here this day. Each one is an individualized expression of this one life, beautifully, magnificently created. And for each one, I know this day that the physical body is the body temple of the divine. And so because I know that it is the body temple of the divine, I know absolute equanimity, absolute harmony, absolute wholeness and perfection, because the one life maintains and sustains its beloved creation always and in all ways. And so I know that this life expresses that the body temple of each one is whole, holy, perfect, and complete, just as it is in this moment. And we bring our consciousness into alignment with the consciousness of the divine, with the consciousness of the one. And in so doing, we recognize the perfection of this moment. We recognize the harmony of this moment. We recognize the poise, the equanimity, the homeostasis of this now moment. And we recognize that all is truly well. And we call forth it now. We call forth the love, we call forth the wholeness, we call forth the perfection now. And so I simply give thanks for it. I give thanks for its expression. I give thanks for its fulfillment. And I simply allow it to be resting and knowing. And I release this word, assured of its fulfillment. I let it be. And so it is.
Love